Hello, people, too, and welcome back to another review. As usual, I'm Chris.
TC?
Okay, so a few videos ago, I was discussing a movie I had picked up, and I wanted to watch with uh, Will and Ty because I'd watched it and I had loved it, but I wanted more people's opinion on it, and I wanted to do an in-depth discussion and review, and that's what we're going to do today. Unfortunately, Will couldn't be here, but I watched it with him, and we are going to review and discuss Hereditary.
Give me a hold what you talk about.
So, Hereditary, of course, is directed by Ari Aster. He directed Midsummer, which me and Will already done a review of. If you want to, you can go back and watch it, see what we think. But the only reason I watched this is because I really enjoyed Midsummer, and I wanted to see how good it was. Hereditary is about a family that continuously goes through tragedy and is wrapped up in a cult story, and a story about a cult. The grandmother is a leader of a secret cult and she dies. Well, the film, as it goes on, shows you the past of what the mother had to deal with the grandmother, which is the cult leader. Shows she had to deal with shit through these little miniatures. So you get the backstory through the miniatures that the mother makes. You get little like signifying things that leans into the story. Like what'd you call them? The three birds?
Mm-hmm. I heard three men.
Yeah, the three people. It's like a little signia type thing that shows up in the movie, basically representing the cult. And basically, the movie tells a story through, film. And it's not a movie that tells a lot through word of mouth, which I'm absolutely glad of. I'm sick and tired of movies always telling me the story without showing. But
it's more of like a picture storytell like thing.
A film.
Yeah.
It's like a real movie, guys.
Yeah.
But no, but as the movie goes along, she also has to suffer the death of her daughter, which, by the way, there is going to be spoilers. Like, we're talking about this in depth, so there is going to be spoilers. And her daughter's death absolutely brings out one of the best performances in horror history. Toni Collette definitely should have won an Oscar. This movie deserved an Oscar, especially for Toni Collette's performance. She did fantastic. I thought the father was great. The son, I do have problems with. I think he was good in a lot of scenes. But there were so many scenes that I really didn't like him in. One scene I thought he did really good in is when he was under the bleachers, like talking about the pain in his throat.
Mm-hmm.
And then and asked his friend to hold his hand. I thought that was a really good scene. But they also have the scene where he's sitting in the car after the young girl got her head ripped off. And it's so disturbing, that scene, and his acting was actually completely perfect for that scene. My problem with him is anytime he cries, it sounds really fake. terrible crying. But as the movie goes on, it starts to show the plot of the cult, and it starts to build on it. And this woman that comes to help her and shows her a seance, it turns out to be a member of the cult, and the grandmother's influence in the cult still is in their lives even after she dies, and it continues until the end. Which the end.
But you really gotta watch the movie really close and listen really close.
It is. This is a very well made movie, and it's very in depth.
Follow it.
Yeah, I actually, let me see it. I love and absolutely hate this movie. I love it, but I hate it. And it all has to do from when the father gets lit on fire to the very last scene. And I know a lot of people are probably going to hate me for saying it, but I absolutely despise the ending of this movie. I'm not angry that the boy ended up becoming the eighth guard of hell or whatever. I'm not angry.
King, wasn't it?
Do what?
Wasn't it the eighth king?
Eighth king of hell. I'm not sad that they did it. I'm not even sad they do supernatural shit in the film. What I'm sad about is The fact we had a fantastic family tragedy that like really gets in and it claws your fucking heart out and it's perfectly acted on Toni Collette's part and it's so good and it represents tragedy, depression so perfectly. And then the end is people floating through the air, headless people floating through the air, naked old people smiling. I know, I get it. I get it. Like, it's supposed to be scary and intimidating, and it's weird. I get it. But I laughed. I laughed that there's a naked, goofy man with man titties and a shriveled penis standing in a scene where there's a floating Toni Collette cutting off her own head. It's very weird. I absolutely hate it. And it disappoints me so much. Like, god damn it. And it really does. Like, it really is disappointing. And, like, I know that I'm not a filmmaker, but for me, I thought that the perfect ending to the tragedy would be if, you know, the mom had killed the father, and then the son, to protect himself, would have killed the mother, whether by protecting himself or an accident, something like that. Even could have beheaded her for protection. I don't, something. But the floating through air, cutting her own head off shit, it was goofy. The naked old people, which I know it's like a cult thing, it's supposed to be shocking. It was just naked old people. I didn't care for that at all. I thought it was just meh.
I want to give me my point here. I would probably give it a 7, maybe an 8. No bigger than a strong 9. I mean, that's but.
Well, which one, mate? You can only pick one.
I'm gonna say probably an 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just because of the ending, I just couldn't get to it.
He couldn't. Yeah, no, he didn't like the ending either, and the entire movie because he's not really like when he watches. Well, first of all, he doesn't really watch in-depth movies. Like trying to get him to watch like a fucking David Lynch movie would be like pulling teeth. So watching a horror movie that is deeper than your typical slasher movie, and he's actually invested in the characters and the story, it was amazing. And even he was very disappointed because he loved Toni Collette's performance. He thought she did a great job.
Hey, I think I rewinded a couple times, watched Station Parks just to see if I could follow it a little bit better.
Yeah, follow a little better. He looked at certain scenes where stuff was in the background. He was really paying attention, which is hard to get him to do a lot of times. And shit.
Most of the time I'm asleep. So.
And it was very, very disappointing, that fucking ending. And I would love to have given this movie a 9. I would love for it to be considered a horror masterpiece, on par with Alien or The Thing, because I think it was there. It was fucking there. But the ending, the all naked people, the floating mama cutting her head off, it just killed the tone for me. It went from a brutal, depressing family like tragedy with some of the best horror scenes ever. The scene where Toni Collette's yelling at her son at the table, like the scene in the car once Charlie loses her head, like this really depressing, realistic depiction of family tragedy, and then to just completely throw it out the window for shock, I guess, and just, oh man, it's very disappointing. The thing is I love it, and it's better than Midsummer, especially the build-up. The thing with Midsummer, though, is I actually didn't mind the Midsummer ending, because I think it fit the rest of the movie. And the only way I can see anyone saying that the ending for Hereditary fit is because the movie is decently well written, and it seems like every step to get there fits, but it just didn't work for me. I would have loved just for the family tragedy and just more, just fucking more of that absolute desolate authenticity. But I was disappointed. I'm gonna have to give Hereditary a light 7.
This is one movie I never seen a black guy get killed in. No black guy was in this to get killed.
Yeah, like
This is the first time I've ever seen for that to happen.
like it has to be a light 7, like because it's so disappointing. It is so that ending. Yeah, no, I think it's even with Midsummer, and Midsummer's build-up was not good. That's the thing. Midsummer's build-up was not good, but the beginning was really good and the ending was okay. But Hereditary was a fucking masterpiece with a bad ending, in my opinion. So it's so close. He was so close to having a great horror masterpiece.
So close.
So close. Definitely, I definitely liked it more than something like The Witch. So all I can say is peace the fuck out.
Peace.